If you're thinking about upgrading your motorcycle with an aftermarket gas tank, you're gonna wanna watch this video. I'm gonna save you time, some precious moolah, and prevent a headache. Upgrading your gas tank is not as simple as slapping a tank on a bike and just riding off into the sunset. I do wish it were that way, but it's just not reality. It's typically annoying, expensive, and time-consuming, until now. You see, in the past, you had to first decide, well, what tank do I want? And then you gotta figure out, well, what tank fits? What's gonna actually fit the backbone of my bike? Is it gonna hit my bars when I turn? Is it gonna actually slam all the way back to the front of my seat? Then you have to figure out the plumbing. Oh, good Lord. So now you're working with different plumbing components from a tank that's not meant for your bike, maybe. You gotta figure out the fuel line. Trying to get a good fuel line that actually works and fits and isn't gonna burn on the engine. Well, that's kind of fun, you know? Let's say you get the wrong parts. Oh, goody goody gumdrops. Now I get to ship shit back to somebody, wait a week till it gets there, wait for them to email me back, and then I gotta try and get another part that maybe doesn't even fit still. It's a total pain in the ass. Then you gotta figure out the Petcock. I love the Petcock situation because every Petcock I've purchased in the past is a piece of absolute trash. The handle snaps off. If I don't run the bike for 5 minutes, it gets stuck. They're just not good quality. Oh, and then let's not forget the most important part, the tank lining. There's a lot of tank liners out there. I have used them all. You know what happens? You're riding down the road, you're having a great freaking day with the homies, and all of a sudden, your bike goes bup, and stops. That's because you got a bunch of paint chips, it looks like, in your fuel filter, and your carb's not getting any fuel. Oh, you crack open the gas cap, and you look inside, it looks like a lizard skin in there. That's a whole other ball of wax that you gotta deal with. Now, what happens if you use the wrong tank liner? Now you're stuck in the middle of nowhere, and you got a pretty mouth, and you don't have a motorcycle to ride. I already went through all that BS, so you guys don't have to. I spent the last 15 plus years figuring out what were the most affordable, highest quality parts that allow you to install an aftermarket gas tank on your Honda Shadow without all the pain in the ass that I had to go through. I call it the Max Fuel Kit. You can check it out. It's available now at tjbrutalcustoms.com. Now, before I get into the good stuff, what models it fits, what's included in the kit, if you're enjoying this video, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps the channel out a ton. As of the recording of this video, this kit fits the Honda Shadow VT600, also known as the VLX 600, and it will fit years 1988 all the way up through 2007. We've even gone so far to make this absolutely painless for you guys. The 88 to 98 models of the VT600 were a dual carb bike. So when you go to choose your Max Fuel Kit on TJ Brutal Customs, you're going to choose a dual carb configuration. If your bike is from 1999 to 2007, you're gonna choose the single carb configuration of the Max Fuel Kit. Now, at the time you're viewing this, there's likely gonna be other options available, other kits for different makes and models, including the Harley-Davidson brand, the Sportsters, the Big Twins. These kits are customizable as well. We give you a couple options that you can mix and match to really create a custom setup for your bike that fits your style. Now, you can see if this kit is available for your bike's make and model at tjbrutalcustoms.com. Just search Max Fuel Kit. It's spelled out right here for you. All right, guys, so now we're gonna get into the meaty, juicy part of this, okay? What's included in the kit? I know you guys are waiting for this. First off, we have the gas tank. We have your option, your choice of aluminum or brass fuel cap. We have a Petcock kit, fuel line kit, sight gauge kit with replacement line, a little bit of T-tape, stainless spring wrap. Now the spring wrap pictured here is black. The one you'll receive will be a beautiful stainless finish. We offer a fuel filter right here that comes in the kit with multiple fittings. It includes the red coat tank liner, a hardware kit, the AFP port plug, and install videos. Now you might be wondering what's so special about the parts in this kit? Well, these are the parts that I use and I love. I'm gonna share with you guys what makes them so special to me. To start with, this gas tank is something I designed almost 20 years ago. The tank is mild steel. It has a mild steel tunnel. It is created using the most top-of-the-line space-age welding techniques, using TIG welding, tungsten inert gas, and laser welding. Pretty freaking cool stuff. We've got 3/16 thick steel tabs front and rear on this tank. Both tabs are pre-drilled for your bike. All you have to do is line up the rear tab with the existing tank mounting bolt hole on your frame, drop a bolt in there. The front tab will line up over an existing hole in your frame. All you need to do is drill open that hole in the frame to match the hole size in this front bracket. We are also using a proprietary TJ Brutal Customs filler neck bung right here. We have sight gauge bungs pre-installed as well as a Petcock bung. These are all 1/8 inch NPT. So this tank is designed to sit a little higher on the frame, a la Frisco mounting, and the tabs are made with 3/16 steel to prevent any cracking from vibration. The tunnel does not sit perfectly on the frame because that would create even more vibration, but this does sit snug to your backbone. It's not gonna hover, it shouldn't float around, it's not gonna leave a big unsightly gap at the back of the tank like I've seen some people do. And no, this isn't just some stock sporty tank we hacked up and welded a bunch of crap to. This is a brand new, absolutely beautiful, pristine steel shell tank bottom and front and rear tab. I'm gonna share some experience with you guys, and the reason I make these the way that I do is because I experienced a number of other tanks that actually ended up cracking and having vibrational breaks all over the tank. I would have a rear tab break. They would separate from the tank bottom. And this is designed so that down the road, you're not gonna go over a few bumps and start leaking gas out of the bottom of your tank, which is gonna do a couple of wonderful things for you. It's gonna destroy any paint that you put on the tank. So you spend the time to get a nice paint job on this, whether you do it at home or have somebody else do it, regardless, it's time and money spent. And now your gas is leaking all over it, eating the paint, bubbling it off, it's trash. Second of all, gas gets all over your bike. So you got a leak from the bottom of the tank, well, now you're pouring fuel all over your engine, all over your pants, your boots. It's just no fun for anyone. So these tanks are designed for durability, longevity, and they'll go the long haul with you. That brings me to the fuel caps. Now in this max fuel kit for the Honda Shadow VT600, you're gonna have a choice of an aluminum fuel cap or a brass fuel cap. What's special about this fuel cap? A couple things. You notice on the bottom here, there's a little brass element here with a breather, and you look at the top of the cap and there's a hole. I'd encountered a couple other gas caps which have a flaw in their design, and that is the breather hole was from the side going to the middle and then to the breather. What this resulted in was essentially making a nice little path, a funnel for wind to fly over the bike and spray gas all over you. So the reason we use an element here is to prevent fuel getting slapped up into the hole, and we put the hole vertically to prevent fuel from just splashing out the side. They also include an O-ring here to seal on the top of the filler neck, and if this breather element ever gets filthy, you can actually unscrew it and clean it out with a little bit of brake clean. So, a little story time for you guys. My brother purchased a gas tank, kind of a cheap one, and began to ride it all over New York, and he started getting gas everywhere. He took the time to paint the gas tank, invested in some really cool paints, watched some YouTube videos, invested time and money in making the tank look fucking cool. So he puts some gas in the tank, goes for a ride, and fuel just starts spraying everywhere. The reason we don't use a lot of those standard Harley gas caps, they vent from underneath or from the side. So you go buy a cheapy gas tank with that universal gas cap and you've got fuel spraying all over your gas tank. So he wasted all of his time and money getting this beautiful paint job only to have it destroyed a few minutes later as soon as he hits the roads in Brooklyn. Absolute tragedy. So that's why I've specifically designed these caps to breathe and not leak all over your beautiful paint job. Next down the line, we come to the Petcock. This is a pet subject of mine, actually. For years, I struggled with trying to find a good Petcock. Now, there's some brands out there that claim they're the absolute shit, we high flow and big name brand. You know what? They freaking because if I didn't use that bike for a few weeks, I go to turn the Petcock on and nothing happens. They break, they're stuck. Why did I just pay $120 for a Petcock that doesn't even do the one thing it's supposed to do? I tried vintage style Petcocks. They look pretty cool, they're neat, they're very Art Deco and all that, but they don't work. What's the point of having a motorcycle if the gas can't get from the gas tank to the carburetor? That led me to discovering there are many different types of valves out there. And what I provided in this kit is my absolute favorite. This is the bulletproof Petcock kit. This includes all the fittings you need to attach this to your gas tank from the Max Fuel kit. If you buy a single carb version, it's gonna come with a 3/8 barb fitting. The dual carb version comes with a 5/16 barb fitting. And that is to accommodate the fuel nipple on the dual carb and single carb bikes. This is a Petcock that should last you the rest of your life. God forbid you lay the bike down or something, stuff happens. But I have been running these for years and I have not had a single one fail. And that's why I'm including this in the Max Fuel kit. Next down the line, we have the fuel line kit. I know this isn't as exciting to look at as the brass or aluminum or a Petcock, but hey, let's face it, it's a pretty important component. This is the lifeline between the gas tank and the carburetor. Now in the fuel line kit, we're gonna include a length of fuel line for you guys, about yay big. It's gonna come with these spring clips. Now, some of you guys might ask, why are you using spring clips? I will explain. Hose clamps or worm drive clamps, though they can be wonderful in many situations, do have a tendency to fail. They don't like vibration. They also don't like corrosion. Sure, we could do stainless hose clamps, but guess what? You get them tweaked the wrong way and now they're digging a hole into your engine case. Now they're rubbing on the intake manifold. Honda, I think, had it right when they put spring clips on a lot of their hose fittings. They're simple to use, simple to install, and have a low failure rate. Very, very low. All you gotta do is pinch these puppies and slide them down the hose, and now you can disengage the hose from whatever fitting you have it on. The fuel hose we're including will be for single carb 3/8 fuel line, an actual fuel line. This will not be just some rubber hose we got down at Ace Hardware, but this is actual fuel line. It's very important. For the dual carbs, it's going to be a 5/16 ID fuel line. You might ask, what's this thing on the middle here? Well, this is a spring wrap. The stock Honda Shadows have a version of this on their fuel lines. What this does, couple things. It prevents abrasion from the engine, so engine components aren't rubbing on the fuel line as you go down the road. That can wear a hole in the fuel line, and then we have fuel spilling everywhere. No fun for anyone. The second reason they have a spring wrap is to isolate the fuel line from heat. So heat is one of the top reasons that your fuel line is gonna go bad. It's just gonna cook the material, and I don't care how good the material is, at some point in time, rubber does degrade. It happens. We will also offer replacements of this on our website, so that if this goes out, this is a consumable part. Let's say 6 years down the road, if it's getting a little hard, you wanna set up something else with your carburetor, you can get a replacement very easily. This spring wrap here is going to increase the longevity of that fuel line. That brings us to the sight gauge kit. This is super important. I know a lot of you guys are just gonna be like, well, I don't need a sight gauge kit, whatever, the bike will stop, and then I'll just push it for 6 miles to the next gas station, which is super fun, I know. Or you could Steve McQueen it, you know, open the gas cap, shake it a little bit, and see how much fuel you have. If you're really good at math and spatial reasoning, that may be the way for you. However, for myself, I like to have a